I was riding around in the V12 with the racks in the middle. Had to pray to Almighty God, they let my dog out the kennel. When you get it straight up out the mud, you can't imagine it.
Welcome everyone to this week's episode of Unrooted Baseball Edition. And my guest for this week's show is none other than senior outfielder on the baseball team here at Menlo College, Nick Adgar. Nick, thanks so much for joining me on the show.
Thanks for having me.
You're very welcome. Let's start by talking a little bit about yourself and going inside your barber shop. You are known on this team for cutting hair. You've been doing so for a couple of years now. Why don't you tell me a little bit about how you got into cutting hair and exactly how long you've been doing it?
Well, it actually started with my brother, and he would cut my hair whenever I needed a haircut growing up. And then when I got to College of San Mateo, our coaches made us have fresh shaved face and basically no long hair, so you had to have a haircut all the time. And basically I started cutting myself and all my teammates, and it's just taken off since I came to Menlo.
Now, what kind of cut did you give yourself back then? Were you just full-on shaving it, or were you actually giving yourself a cut?
I was going like a 3 all around, and then I would clean up the sides just a little bit.
Is that the only way you can really like cut your own hair? Because I imagine like using scissors would actually be almost impossible.
It's just basically buzz cuts and clean it up the best you can, and then have someone else do the neck.
Yeah, because you can't do that by yourself. How many of the guys on the team do you actually cut their hair?
Last year, almost every single person that needed haircuts, and this year we actually have another barber on the team, Logan.
Really?
Yeah, so we basically split the duty.
Okay. Well, that's nice because it'll be like a churning of the guard. When you're gone, he'll still be here for 3 more seasons.
Exactly.
So the teammates are still going to be looking nice and sharp after
fresh.
that. And you have an Instagram page for this as well, don't you?
Yes, I do. Adgar's Bars.
I was going to say, shout it out to the people out there know.
Follow.
He does have some pretty good content on there. In preparation of the show, I did snoop it out and got to see the hairs of Emilio Guerra and Jordan Tagawa, just to name a few of my favorites personally on there. Now, I've been told once that Dalton Maxwell came out with a comment and said that you could bunt a home run accidentally. That's how strong you are. But you're not just a power hitter, you're really a great all-around hitter. So how do you find the right balance between swinging for the fences and also maintaining an average north of 300?
For me, it's just my whole life growing up, I've always told that power is the last tool that you develop. And all the great hitters that I've watched over the years, they're all great at power, but the one thing you'll notice about all of them is they're also great at contact. So everything I try and do with all my preparation for games is just try and stay consistent with my approach and maintain that fine balance that you talk about between power and average.
And maintaining a higher walk than strikeout rate is also a key part of that, and that's something else that you do. Now let's talk a little bit about the team here. Menlo took on the Masters last week, and the Mustangs got the best of the Oaks over the 4-game series. It was good to see the offense, though, put some runs on the board across the 4 games. What adjustments did you guys make at the plate from the previous week against Hope?
I noticed a lot of the younger guys, at least, had a couple breakout games like Chris Lopez, Matt Palomino. They really starting to figure it out, and they've made major gains since from the start of the season to where we are now, and it's really starting to show. And I think it's just sticking to an approach, and even when things start to hit the fan, they still stick with it and they stay consistent.
Yeah, and those young guys, like you said, they certainly found it. Chris Lopez, first collegiate home run. Matt Palomino, first home run as a part of a 6-hit doubleheader against the Mustangs. And Game 4 of the series was an 11-inning classic against the Masters, and the Mustangs wound up pulling out in front with the 1-run victory. What are those games like to play in? They're basically emotional roller coasters where you go from a high of shutting them down in the top half of the frame to the low of not scoring yourself, and you guys went back and forth for a long time.
I think it's really just sticking to an approach, like I said before, and just no matter how good things are getting and how bad something may happen in that game, especially when you're getting into extra innings, you just kind of have to shake it and get to the next and take the field and get to the next 3 outs, next batter. It's basically just one pitch at a time.
Are those the kind of games that you as a player you really like to play in?
I mean, an 11-inning game is tough whenever, and especially that game was a 7-inning game, so that was 5 extra innings. It's just, I mean, it's a grind, but we're ready for it. the training staff here gets us prepared, more than prepared. So I think it's just more of a mindset thing.
7-inning game and on the 4th game of a series when you've already been playing all weekend long. Usually the last thing that the pitching staffs can certainly afford. Now, you were supposed to have a game this weekend at Sac State. It got rained out, no surprise. You've had 14 games that have been rained out this season. As a hitter, how do you find a way to stay mentally sharp and get enough reps when you're not seeing live game pitching?
I'd say it's just continuously working every single day, whether that's off a machine, taking BP, try to get live at-bats even when it's raining. But I think it's just you have to remain consistent with all of your work. And it's even if it's raining, you still can hit in the cage. So it's just you still can take it like it's still a game day.
Yeah, but I imagine after a while hitting in the cages over and over and over, like it's great, but yes, it's annoying, and it also gets to the point where, again, when you do face live pitching, it's just not the same because someone's standing, 20 feet in front of you and tossing behind a screen.
It's really tough to get into a rhythm, especially like you said, all the games getting rained out. It's frustrating, but on to the next.
And of course, as we film this interview, 20% chance of rain on the day, and guess what? It's done for the third time outside. It's raining once again. This is a very busy week for the Oaks. You guys are heading to Arizona to play a total of 6+ games, including a makeup doubleheader on Monday against Arizona Christian. How are you guys going to stay mentally sharp and physically fresh during a long weekend of games where you're playing, like I said, about 6.5 games over the course of 4 days?
I think we'll be prepared. We've prepared pretty well for this, and since we've known that these games were going to happen a while back on the schedule, we've been mentally preparing since the rainouts, and we're physically ready. And we realize how important these games are, and we're ready. We're coming for Arizona.
The final month of the conference schedule about set to begin this week for the Oaks. All right, Nick, let's get into the final segment of the show. It's called Brownie Bites. I'm going to ask you 3 off-the-wall questions. Give me your best answers. And they're all barbershop related,
yes,
no surprise. Question number 1, which teammate has the most difficult hair to cut?
I would say Alex Thompson for sure. That's only because he'll never let me touch his hair.
Really?
Yeah, he only goes to his certain barber and has to have it done a certain way, and he's always just Mr. Pretty Boy and has to have it perfect, basically.
So it's not so much that his hair is difficult to cut, it's you don't know what it's like to cut because he won't let you do it. The immaculate head of hair
that Alex Thompson
that is Alex Thompson's head. Question number 2, which teammate would make the worst barber?
I would have to go with Brandon Dietzman because he's losing his hair. I hate to call him out, but he's starting to lose his hair. And I feel like if he were to become a barber, he would start to cut everyone's hair like he does, and it's just a one all around, and just, I don't know. I just don't think he would make a good barber.
See, if you're losing your hair, why would you want to go with a one all around? Because then it looks like you're losing your hair.
I know, it's obvious.
Is he balding in the back? Is that what it is, or is it starting up front?
It's in the front.
Oh, no, Brandon, I am so sorry. I was hoping for you it would be in the back because then you could hide it with the baseball hat, but in the front, no. Oh, I'm so sorry. And then question number 3, you're going to start a barbershop quartet, and you get to choose 3 teammates to join you. Who are you picking?
So we're singing, right?
You're singing.
Okay. I'd go with Alex Thompson because that man's always singing.
Okay.
Emilio Guerra, just because even if he's not the best singer, he'd provide some laughs for us. And lastly, I'd have to go with Logan, just because he cuts hair too. We need some expertise.
Yeah, hey, why not? And I feel like that is such a unique blend of characters that even if the sound isn't very good, and it might not be, it wouldn't matter at all because you're going to be providing entertainment value to anyone who is fortunate or unfortunate enough to hear you sing in that quartet. So
that's for sure.
I think it would work out pretty well. Nick, thanks so much for joining me on the show. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome, folks. The baseball team, they're on the road this weekend And rolling around into Monday, they have a busy weekend ahead. 4 games in Surprise against OUAZ, doubleheaders on Friday and Saturday. And then the resumption of a suspended contest against Arizona Christian on Monday, which then leads into a doubleheader against Arizona Christian. The Oaks are the home teams in those games, but they will be playing in Phoenix. We invite you to tune into next week's episode of Unrooted Baseball Edition, when Nick Adgar will select the next interviewee by me, Brian Brownfield, right on the show, and I feel bad for that person because he will probably be very, very tired. Until then, we'll see you next time. Take care, everyone.
I was riding around in the V12 with the racks in the middle. Had to pray to Almighty God, they let my dog out the kennel. When you get it straight up out the mud, you can't imagine it. I've been pulling up in the drop top.